Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. Hope everyone's doing well out there. I just wanted to make this quick video showcasing what it's like reaching a 1 year or 365-day streak in Duolingo, specifically for Japanese. As you can see, in fact, yesterday was my 365th day, and I'll be reaching 366 here in just a little bit as I do a lesson just in the background, just as some content for you guys to see here. But actually, once you reach 365, as you can see, you actually become part of what they call the Streak Society, and you get this VIP status on your account. And at first I thought it was going to be some super prestigious thing, but actually it's just a small VIP badge that only shows up in leaderboards and on your profile. But really, all in all, it's pretty anticlimactic for something that takes such a long time and dedication to get. I know that although some of the lessons only take 2-3 minutes to do, doing it each day for a whole year, I do think that's a fairly big achievement. And in my mind, I do think people that reach this far should deserve something more. Maybe like a free Duolingo t-shirt or something like that they can send you. I think that'd be really cool. One other thing I noticed was that, and I'm not sure if it have to do with 365 or not, but when I did log in today, I got 12,000 gems in my account. I think I had like 400 or 500 yesterday. I think I might have thrown some my way for getting 365, but honestly, I don't really know how useful that's going to be, since I only use gems for the streak freezes every now and then when I forget or get busy to do Duolingo. So not really that handy, but I guess it's still nice to have nonetheless. So here I am just showcasing some of the, utilities that Duolingo has, the hiragana and katakana stuff. But before I go into the actual pros and cons of using Duolingo as my main source of Japanese learning for about a year, I just wanted to preface by saying that I, like many people who got interested in learning Japanese language, got into it because of anime and video games. So even though I say Duolingo is my only method of learning Japanese, watching anime in Japanese, playing certain games using the Japanese dub like Persona, Monster Hunter, I think that definitely did expand my vocabulary, so supplementing my Duolingo experience. So that might play a role in some of the stuff that I've learned. Also, I actually did recently start taking kind of private tutoring lessons for Japanese a few months ago, but I'll try my best to keep what I've learned there separate from what I've learned in Duolingo the past year. Okay, so let's go into it. I kind of want to go about some of the good things so far. Now, before I started Duolingo, my Japanese was very, very, very basic. Maybe, the common phrases from anime, some of the stuff that you just learn, kind of a basic, konnichiwa, arigato, stuff like that. And I also did spend a few weeks learning some of the hiragana and katakana. But going into Duolingo about a year ago, I'd say my reading and listening and speaking skills were pretty much at a 2-year-old level. Writing probably, embryonic level. So just kind of keep that in mind as I kind of give my final thoughts at the end here. But anyways, Duolingo's, I think, big advantage is that it teaches you things that are useful that you can implement immediately. Phrases, sentences, vocabulary. So if you were to do Duolingo, every day for a couple weeks or a couple months before you went to Japan, you would actually learn things that are very applicable, very useful. Now, whether or not you understand the responses, that's going to be another story, but I do feel confident that you will learn some things that, as you say them, the people in Japan will be able to understand you fairly well, assuming that you kind of get the pronunciation down. So phrases, sentences, vocabulary, it is basically the meat of what Duolingo teaches you. Now, there's good and bad to it, and I think this is great for beginners, but really once you get more experience, right, once you become more of an intermediate learner and you want to learn more things, I really do think this plateaus you. And to be honest, I feel like my last 100 days using Duolingo, I just review the same phrases and words over and over and over again. Now, of course, that's repetition, and that's pretty key to learning a new language, is that repetition, especially if you're only going to use it for just a couple minutes a day. But if you ask me, I would say that if you just use Duolingo every day to get even somewhat conversational in Japanese, it would probably take you 10 years, at least 5 years of using it every single day to learn some of this stuff. And some of the things that it teaches you, or doesn't really teach you, I guess it kind of just forces you to learn in certain ways that I just feel like is not worth your while. So all in all, I would still say the gamification, the streak, that really is kind of motivating. I would say, when I first started, didn't really care about the streaks, but once you get to 100, 200, 300, right, now you're kind of got some skin in the game. You want to finish it out. You want to see a year. So I do think the gamification does work to a certain degree. You do have to get over that kind of the first hump. I guess it's like working out or starting a new diet, right? After the first week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks are the hardest, and after that it gets easier. Other thing, convenience, accessibility. I think that is just so big. Just open the app and you literally click like 2 buttons and you're in. And then the structured paths, of course, you don't have to think about what you want to learn. These are all the biggest pros for Duolingo language learning. Now, some of the cons, I would say, if you start taking it seriously, Duolingo, what it does is it has you memorize every little thing independently. So for a conjugation, it will have you memorize every single conjugation of a verb. Instead of miuru, it's mimasen, mimasu, mitai, miteimasu, right? It makes you memorize all of these separately instead of teaching you the actual grammar rules and applying it on a broader context, right? So grammar skills like that, I feel like in textbooks are going to be a little bit more important. So this is actually a free textbook that I found with the help of my Japanese tutor recently, called Irodori. It is completely free. They have English translations for everything, starter, elementary 2. It's very similar, I guess, to some of the Genki or Minani Nihongo textbooks. One thing I really like about this textbook is that it walks you through and it gives you 3 big categories of information to learn. It teaches you vocabulary, it teaches you listening skills, so there's these MP3 recordings attached to it, and then it also teaches you the grammar as well. And then in a little bit, you'll see me kind of scroll down how at the end of each chapter, it actually has a 4th thing that's pretty useful too, and it teaches you cultural things, right? And I think this is really important, especially if you want to move to Japan or find a job in Japan or have an extended stay in Japan. But compared to Duolingo, I think there's good and bad for using a textbook, and there's good and bad for using Duolingo. It is when you start taking it more seriously, combining them together, that makes you, in my opinion, a better learner for Japanese. So now that we have gotten to 365 a year later, right? If you remember, I'd say my Japanese skills in the beginning were on the level of a 2-year-old. I would say now I'm maybe around a 1st grade level. That might have been accelerated a little bit since I started taking more classes, but all in all, I do think Duolingo helped. And if you're more of a casual learner, I think that will be totally just fine. And if you are planning to be more serious, I don't think there's a harm in doing some Duolingo every day, listening to some of the way it says things and some of the structures and stuff like that. But if you really wanted to, excel in Japanese, if you were thinking about taking the JPLT tests and stuff like that, a textbook is definitely going to outshine Duolingo, I think, any and every day. So that's kind of my 2 cents on Duolingo, using it for 365 days, and hopefully I give you guys a better idea of what to expect here. And as you can see for this website here, and I'll link it in the description below, there's so many good resources that it gives you as well. So hopefully you guys have a better idea of how you want to start your Japanese learning experience, or how you want to progress it. But anyways, I would love to hear your thoughts below in the comments, giving everyone else and myself included an idea of what to expect learning Japanese going into the future. So I hope to hear from you, and if you like the video, give it a like, and I will maybe see you guys some other time. Bye.